Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, we've got a fun show for you. Well, I hope it's fun for you because I'm recapping my Disney fantasy cruise last week to the Eastern Caribbean. We visited the islands of Tortola and St. Thomas. We also went to Disney's Castaway Cay and had 3 sea days. So I talk about dining, I talk about our stateroom, I talk about port adventures and more. And I tell you what dessert not to miss, and it's kind of a sleeper. It's right there, and you would miss it if I don't tell you about it today. Palo brunch, Palo dinner. Get ready. It's a fun recap from our cruise. I cannot wait to sail again with Disney Cruise Line, so enjoy today's show. Don't forget our podcast brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are the all-stars of our show, and I can't thank you enough for letting us do this show. You guys make it happen. You can also support us just $5 a month, and you'll get our bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come on over. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2524 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're getting ready for a great weekend wherever this show finds you around the world. We're going to have a good time talking Disney today, specifically Disney Cruise Line. I'm going to recap my cruise on the Disney Fantasy to the Eastern Caribbean for the first time, this time last week. Man, I'm excited for the weekend, but I got to tell you, this time last week was a lot better. It was so fun to see these islands in the Eastern Caribbean, but we'll talk about it today. But I am excited. I got to tell you this. I am super excited to be back with my great friends, Ricky and Scott, today. So joining us from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com and themouseforless.com, we have Ricky. Ricky, happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend ahead of you. What's going on?
Happy Friday. And I guess I probably will. I don't know what's on tap because my birthday is next week. So maybe Brian will do something for me. Probably not. So maybe this weekend will involve something celebratory. Who knows? Not entirely sure. I don't have any plans.
You got to do something fun for your birthday. Come on now.
I know. Well, see, the thing is our anniversary is literally 6 days later. So I know what we're doing for our anniversary. So that I did plan, but I didn't plan anything for my birthday because, he should plan that. So.
Well, you did go to Walt Disney World, though, for your kind of birthday, right?
You know what? That was actually my birthday celebration.
Yeah.
So
that's not bad.
No. We got to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Exactly. I mean, what do you want? I mean, go on.
Yeah.
It's a deluxe.
No, that was totally my birthday celebration. Like, I mean, yes, that was technically my birthday, but I mean, this weekend, I don't know what we're doing, but we stayed at Animal. I mean, I'm sure it'll take me out to dinner somewhere. Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know. So
Texas Roadhouse is what you need.
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse. We did go to Animal Kingdom Lodge for my birthday. That was fantastic. I had such an amazing stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. And you know what? We pretty much ate at every restaurant except for Sanaa because we just ate at Sanaa recently. I have a really great hack for Boma's breakfast. You're going to have to follow along on a Disney World After All to find out what the hack is because it's game changing. It was mind blowing. I told the server about this hack and she's like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. And she was impressed. And so she said she's going to have to try what I figured out. So it's coming, I promise. So you'll want to check out a Disney World After All for the hack. We ate at Jico too. I was not as impressed with Jico as I
Really?
hoped. No.
Scott, she doesn't have the distinguished palate like us.
No, you know what?
Just kidding.
My steak didn't have any flavor,
What?
which is disappointing when you
The
have steak.
Jico steak? The Jico
Yeah,
steak is good.
It did not have any flavor.
Oh, man.
The sauce was delicious, but the steak was a little, I mean, less flavorful than I had
Wow.
expected.
Coming in
And
hot.
Brian had, I think, the braised beef, and it was super tough. Like, I took a bite of it, and I'm like chewy tough, and I'm like, yeah, we probably should have sent that back. But yeah, it was not the best experience at Chico, and I was very disappointed in that. I would rather go to Sanaa. Having been to all 3 restaurants in the course of like the last 2 trips, I would rather do Sanaa, Boma, and then Chico.
Ricky coming in hot on a Friday.
I
Here we
know.
go.
Hot take. Yeah.
There we go. That's what we like to show. You never know what you're gonna get, man. Boy, putting Jico below Sanaa.
I know, man. It's crazy, but
Here we are.
Both Brian and I were like, we had this discussion while we were sitting by the hot tub. Because nothing says, summer like sitting by a hot tub in July. But yeah, we were totally by the hot tub, and we were like both of us discussing the Jico meal, and we were like, both of us were like, I was not that impressed. So it wasn't just me; it was also Brian. So
Tanja's there
and
with
he's
you down
pretty.
in
I mean,
Tennessee.
Brian. He's pretty like easygoing about everything. For him not to.
Yeah, that's the understatement of the year. That dude's the most easygoing person I think I've ever met.
Exactly. So he's like,
everything.
I've never sent food back, and he's legit was like, I really should have sent that back. So
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells you right there. Yeah.
All right, Scotty G's joining us from Must See Adventures, which I'm sure the first episode of his 14 or 19 day European vacation is coming out imminently. We're waiting.
Yay!
Post. We have Scotty G.
Yeah.
What's up, Scott?
Lots of editing I'll need to do this weekend because you're just like really like pumping it up.
I
Mike.
am, man.
So,
I'm ready. Let's go.
I got to do it. The first episode is just about, it should be done now. I'll say like, it's more like, what are we going to be doing this trip? Let's go to some airports. And then the next episode will kind of be like our London tour. So it might not be the most exciting, but it'll help like kind of set up the trip.
I love that stuff. I like
the
logistics. That's my thing. I love that stuff. So
I love telling stories, right?
Yeah.
It's a 19 episode story. Like it's almost like a TV series for crying out loud.
No kidding.
Apple
It's
TV will
season
be
one.
Apple TV will pick this thing up or something.
But Ricky, if the hack doesn't involve how you can bottle up Boma mustard, then I'm going to be.
Oh, it does not, because I had breakfast. So
You
there
can
was
get the
no.
Boma mustard at breakfast.
Oh,
They have
okay.
the-
Well, I didn't
If
see
they have the
that on the
carving
menu.
station, that's my
Oh.
hack. I go to Boma for breakfast, so I can still load
So
up
you
on my
get
Boma
the
mustard.
carving station. I definitely didn't see that on the menu. But I was more on the other side. I didn't really do a lot of the meats.
Yeah.
Well, I like bacon and stuff like that. But yeah. Oh, by the way, they have a coconut oatmeal thing. Oh, that's delicious too. Not gonna lie, that was really good. Coconut oatmeal is delightful.
But Mike, this is the day that people have been waiting for. I've been anxiously waiting on
Yes.
the edge of my seat to hear about the Disney Fantasy, my favorite ship in the Disney fleet.
My favorite
And
too.
Mike, I'm just so excited. I've been so pumped for you in this trip. You know, you've been like hyping it up, and then it finally happened. I was sad that it ended. I was happy you got to experience the journey, and now I'm even more excited to hear all about it.
Let's talk about it. So let's try to nail this 7-night cruise down into about 30 minutes here for our listeners. But let's have a conversation. So it's not just me talking here for 30 minutes, because you guys have sailed the ships. You guys know Disney Cruise Line, so we could just questions, comments, throw it in. So this is one of those cruises I've been looking forward to for a long time. Sailed the Western Caribbean 3 times, just a little background knowledge. I don't know why, but we've just always landed on the Western for some reason. Never sailed the Eastern. So I was super excited about this. Now, this one was different because the Western typically has one more port of call. Usually in the Western, you're doing Grand Cayman, you're doing Jamaica, you're doing Cozumel, and then maybe a day at sea, or maybe you go to a 4th port. But this one only had 2 ports plus Castaway Cay. We did St. Thomas and we did Tortola, and we did Castaway Cay on the last day. So we had 3 sea days, which I love sea days. I mean, I could do a cruise to nowhere for 7 nights and totally be happy as a clam. I could never go to a port.
Do you ever feel like embarkation day feels like a sea day in a way too? If you board early enough, it almost
Yes.
feels like a sea
Yeah.
day. Kind
Yes. So that was kind of what we did. I'd planned this thing out over a year in advance, to kind of save up for it, because, cruises are expensive. So you got to kind of put it away every month. That's kind of what we do with cruises. And, just like didn't do a few things, like, we didn't do this month and put that towards the cruise. And that's kind of how we go about it. And so we were super excited. Now, elephant in the room, you guys probably saw, Paige was not on the cruise with us. So I'm going to say that right now. The reason Paige was not on the cruise with us is that she is the director of basketball operations up at the University of Illinois, Chicago, and for the women's basketball team. And they got permission for the very first time to take the women's team overseas for an exhibition tour. So they're taking the women's basketball team to Barcelona, Spain, actually next week. So they're taking the basketball team over there. And so she was really like on the fence forever about like, I could maybe work from the ship because there is internet access, but she's like, I mean, she's the director of basketball operations. She's like in charge of the program. You know, like she works hand in hand with the head coach to get, she's in charge of all the logistics, the travel. She's basically like the travel agent for the team, the whole program. And also the scheduling, anything that has to do with the program, she has to take care of. So she's 27 years old. So she's super nervous about this position and doing everything right. And she, you know, they're going next week. And I told her, like, you can go with us. I'll buy you the internet. You can work from the ship. But to not be in Chicago before taking this whole program for the very first time over to a foreign country for this tour that's super important to the university, she was super nervous. And finally, we just had this talk. And I said, look, there's going to be other cruises. Stay in Chicago, do your job, be with the coach, you know, because the coach was not super excited about her being, you know, 2,000 miles away from Chicago, you know, a week before she's taking these, you know, 18 to 22-year-old college athletes out of the country who probably never left Chicago, a lot of them, you know, definitely the States. Like, this is going to be an undertaking. If she doesn't lose a basketball player in this whole ordeal, I'll be super proud of her. Because after Dennis, if you guys have been following in the clubhouse, Dennis, our good friend who sails Disney Cruise Line a lot, he went on a med cruise about a month and a half ago. And first thing he posted was that he almost got thrown in jail because he got on the wrong cab in Barcelona. So he's giving me nightmares now about my daughter taking these basketball players to Barcelona. My daughter, I mean, she lived in Ireland for 6 months on an exchange program when she went to Mizzou. So she's been out of the country more than I have, for sure. She lived in Ireland. But she's going to be with these girls that are athletes, like, and she's going to be the point person. Like, it makes me nervous. I know she's going to be fine, but God, please don't get in the wrong cab like Dennis and like end up in jail or something. So anyway, I'm just glad she didn't go. It was fine. Zoe went, our niece. We took her. She's 15. Mallory's 16. They had a blast. So we had a good time. Paige is going to go on the next cruise. So if you don't see her in the pictures, I kind of teased Wednesday's show. She missed a ship. She didn't miss a ship. I mean, we knew she wasn't going to go, but we didn't know for sure until about 10 days before. So that was kind of bad, but you do what you got to do. She had peace of mind. We had peace of mind. We came to it. It was fine. Anyway, so we took Zoe. So Zoe had never seen a cruise ship, by the way. She's 15-year-olds from Missouri, from Wentzville, right outside where we live. My niece, Mallory's cousin. And it was fun getting to see the cruise through her eyes, though. Because, I mean, Scott, she'd never seen a cruise ship before. So, I mean, it's like taking a friend to Magic Kingdom who's never seen the castle, right? But it was like that the whole time. Like, you know, we're like, guess what? Because, you know, you tell her, like, she's going to see the boat. But when we crested that hill going to Port Canaveral, like, she was like, whew.
Yeah, you don't realize how big that ship is until you're standing right there in port, right? Like, holy smokes. Yeah, I was excited about, I knew about Paige, but I was excited about Zoe. Like, I know Paige has been there before. I know you wanted her to be there. I had the whole family. She's your wingman, you know.
Yes.
in those clubs, because I wasn't going to be there. But I was, when I was looking at your photos, I was honestly like drawn to Zoe every time to see. And she always had those like funky sunglasses.
She did, yes.
She never changed them too. I thought that must have been the only pair she packed. But I was like so tuned in on her. Like, oh, she's smiling. Oh, yeah, she looks happy. She looks like she's having a ball. And she had some good people leading her the way, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear she had a good time.
And she really honestly saved the cruise for us, because think about it. If she wouldn't have gone, Pam and I wanted to we had Palo brunch. We had Palo dinner scheduled. We had 4 adult tastings scheduled. So if Zoe had not gone, logistically, just think about this for a second. Like, Mallory would have been by herself. But by Zoe going, her cousin, those two were gone all the time, like doing stuff together. They went to Vibe. They were at Vibe all the time. They loved Vibe on this cruise.
Oh, nice.
They went to Vibe the first night, to the meet and greet, to the icebreakers. They met first. You want to know something that's weird and bizarre. Mallory was still in touch with somebody that she sailed with on the podcast cruise in 2017. So
Wow.
she still talks to him on Snap. He was on this cruise. Because, you know, on Snap, you can see people's location. She's like, he is on the ship. She came back the first night. She's like, I can see him. He is on this ship. Now, she hadn't talked to him a lot, but she's like, he is on this boat. My dad, she told me. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. She called me Mike. She said, Dad. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. She's like, and he sailed with us on the Fantasy last time. That's how I know him. And so they talked and vibe, and they hit it off again. And so, like, I mean, they're running around. They did all kinds of stuff. So for 7 nights, we didn't see them, like, for the most part on the cruise. They just hung out with the crew that was in vibe. On our Instagram, you can see all these pictures. There's like 40 of them that hung out together. They were in the atrium every night. Honestly, her and Zoe didn't come in until about 1 or 1:30 in the morning every night.
Oh, dang.
Like, way past us. I mean, Pam stayed up. I didn't, because I got up early. But they had the best time just hanging out in vibe, because the vibe activities go late. You know, they did all the taking over. They took a Rocheniere's lab. They went up to the basketball court. They were everywhere. They're doing karaoke. But they had the best time. So that allowed Pam and I every night to go down to the Tube and do the adult activities, you know, the variety shows and the game
It's like
shows.
you guys almost had 2 separate cruises on the ship, and then you would like kind of meet together for the meals.
Yeah, in the show. Yeah, we do the
shows and then the excursions.
Yeah, we do the meal, the show, and then break up, and then we meet back, you know, later that night. But okay, so real quick, let's kind of recap. So we stayed at Old Key West the night before the cruise. Always go in the night before your cruise. Got a 1-bedroom at Old Key West. God, that was beautiful. Loved it. Talked about that on the call-in show briefly. Huge. Got to look out over the golf course. We were in building 29. Great location. Had dinner at Olivia. Oh, yeah. Like in Peninsular, I think it was called.
Yeah, Peninsular Road. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I wish I could have stayed there a week. I was like, I don't want to just be here for one night. Anyway, we were going on the cruise.
And then it's like you went from that to like you went from the bigger room to the smaller room.
Well, that's what I told Zoe. I was like, Zoe, dude, this thing is huge. This is not, because she doesn't ever come to Walt Disney World that much either. I said, don't get used to how big this room is. I was like, because now we're going to go to a stateroom on a cruise ship. And I'm like, it's not even like a hotel room. I'm like, it's going to be, and we had a 5-person stateroom. Like, it was a 4A. So it was the biggest one besides concierge. But I was like, it's not going to be like this when we get on the boat. I'm like, it's going to be small. Like, I'm like, it's going to be really small compared to this 1-bedroom villa. I'm like, it's going to be tight. So just prepare your brain. I'm like, we're going to be on top of each other for 7 nights. She's like, it's cool. She's really laid back, but it was fine. Anyways, we enjoyed that. We had dinner at Olivia's, rocks, buttermilk chicken, always great. Hung out at the pool, just love that. And then I surprised the girls with a limo. I did do that. We didn't take a limo back. We took the bus back to the airport after the cruise. I told them, we're doing it one way. So the limo, and it was our limo driver that we had, the same guy that took us for the podcast cruise, Bill. And he said to shout out Scott, shout out Pam, everybody that rode with us last time.
That's so funny. We had him twice.
Yes. Yeah. So we had the same guy, and he remembered us. So he took us over, and that was it was a splurge. It wasn't that much more actually than 5 Disney Cruise Line transfers.
When you think about it, it's really not that bad.
It's like $100 more.
Like a group that big.
Yeah, it wasn't that much more. So we got there, boarding group 9, right through, no problem. One of the cool things was, and plus, we always do this when we have somebody with us. Like, we do the guard Rallman or name or something. We get introduced on a ship more together. We did the I forgot Romulan, because her last name is Romulan, so we did like Romulan or something. And she was super excited to see the ship when we got like in. The staterooms were ready at 1:30. Like, I thought that was super early. I thought it used to be like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it seems kind of early, I think.
So we got in our staterooms very fast. Of course, we went up to Cabanas right as soon as we got on the ship. Had a great first lunch. It's a little chaotic, but who cares? You're getting your first lunch. We're starving. Went around the ship and just got it ready for the sail away. And the sail away is like the greatest. You get a drink, you watch, you wave everybody at Jetty Park, and the cruise is like, it's underway. And Scott, you just did your cruises, 2 of them back to back. I mean, is sail away not the greatest?
It's the best feeling, because like you just know, like, I'm on vacation for a long period of time. Life doesn't get better than this moment right here. I'm with my people. Everyone's excited. No work, no school, just fun. Like it gives you goosebumps almost, man, when you're just thinking like, I'm about to start like this epic adventure, man. And I'll say there's no sail away like a Disney Cruise Line. Like sail a wave, I think is what they call it. It's like this the wave. But there's something about the way they do it on Disney Cruise Line is just spectacular. I just love it.
And they honk, they do the horns to all the different songs and stuff. So we enjoyed that. I did get my popcorn bucket.
Oh, yeah.
I got my picture there.
What was your muster station? Was it like in the theater?
Oh, nope. It was on deck 4, dude.
Oh,
I know.
I've done that before too. I've been there.
And you know you're a veteran cruiser because both Mallory and Pam were like, I hope we get Walt Disney Theater. And I looked on
That's
the
why I was saying, was it in the theater?
No,
Yeah.
I know, because I
It's
looked on the door. I
never
was
in
like,
the theater.
dude,
Yeah,
I
under
was
the
like,
lifeboats.
Yeah, I know, because
Yep,
I looked
under the
at,
lifeboats is always where it is
yeah,
for me.
because it says on the door, right? I went over and peeked on the door. I was like, ooh, nope, we're on deck 4, outside. Anyway, so what else? Let's see. So Sail Away, we did that, and this one.
I gotta interrupt. Shout out to Stephanie. Like Zoe is watching and loving the recap right now. Like I just said, Zoe, it was amazing watching the photos with Mike because you looked so happy on that sail. And it just made me. I just loved it.
Horn to Zoe, and she didn't know that her uncle's a pirate either. By the way, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to Pirate Night.
Oh boy.
I think I scared her. I think I scared a lot of people.
I think you scared all of Instagram.
I think honestly. I did. I know I did. And that was the point. Okay, so we're going to get back here. Shout out Steph. Okay, so here we go. I wanted to say we bought the internet. We've never bought the internet before on a cruise, so I wanted to throw this out there for everybody. My wife bought it because Steph, Zoe's mother, it's her daughter, right? And she sent her off with Pam and Mike, right? And like just for a 7-night cruise. She was probably worried, right? I mean, dude, I dressed up like a pirate. She wanted to be in touch with her kid. So she bought the internet. She wanted her to buy the internet. She's like, buy the internet. I'll pay you back, whatever. So we're like, cool. I was going to buy the internet for Paige so she could work. Well, Paige didn't go. So I bought, and plus I said this on the live call-in show. You killed it so hard with internet updates while you were on your 14-night cruise. I had to buy the internet. You peer pressured me into buying the internet because I had to update the Discord because you did so well on your cruise. I had to post pictures on mine too. So I bought it, and I will say, I was not expecting the internet to be as good as it was. And we didn't buy the high package. We bought like the middle. There's 3 packages. I bought actually Pam did all the things. She just said, click here and you'll have internet on your phone. Because she bought it for me. She bought for Zoe and Mallory and myself. And so I clicked it on my phone and it started working. It worked good enough that we were FaceTiming one night in the middle of the ocean. We FaceTimed. Like I was in the tube in the middle of the ocean. We were talking on FaceTime. I could post all my pictures, videos, all that stuff. It was wild. I mean, I don't think Disney Cruise Line uses Starlink, but it worked. I know Royal does use Starlink.
Royal uses Starlink, yeah.
And so that was good.
I think I said this on the live show, not to be a repeat for anyone, but if you didn't listen to that, like I'm sitting just watching TV in my living room and Mike's FaceTiming me. I know he's on the ship. And like I was like, okay, like is this like an emergency situation? does he need me to send some money? Like is he like being helicoptered in? I need to go pick him up. So like if you have a friend that's on a ship, like I always recommend if they call you, answer.
Oh, for real, dude. Because I mean, you could be in a Mexican jail or something. I mean, we didn't go to Mexico. That'd have been really bad because we never went to Mexico. I could have been in a jail in the Virgin Islands. You know what I mean?
But no, my man was in the tube getting ready for some like 90s music trivia or something, or like some kind of game show. Like, this is incredible.
I mean, we gotta say this real quick. We're gonna talk a little bit about your adventures too. But you won like an 800-person trivia, like music. Name that tune, which you'll see on Must See Adventures. Little spoiler here coming up. But dude, they made you the king of the ship. Like you had the crown, the cape, the scepter. You had the whole thing. So I mean, who knows? It could be like the phone a friend. You always answer.
Honestly,
like I mean, had a lot of thoughts during that, and I would be lying if I didn't say this. One of my thoughts was, man, I wish Mike was here to see this.
Oh my God, that's what I told my wife. I was like, I would have paid up. I'd paid $1,000 to be in the audience to see this. Like he is up there with a crown and a scepter.
It was named that tune, and that's
there are people bowing to you. When you laid down the one note thing, I was like, oh, dude, baller. I could name that tune in one note. Oh, anyway, so we gotta get back. So stateroom, we had a 4A stateroom, sleeps 5, only 4 of us because Paige bailed. So it was great, right? So the way it works is with the 4, you have the queen. You have the pull-out sofa, which turns into, I thought it turned into like a queen, but it didn't. It pulled out just into one. Mallory slept on that. It's like a one person. You have the pull-down bed, which Zoe slept on, which is the primo, because it's got like it's like the bunk bed, and it's got the little like stars above it. I love that. I'm too big for that, but I'd like to sleep on it. And then it's got the Murphy bed, which comes out of the wall over by the veranda.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Because in the 4As are like, they're deeper than the regular like veranda rooms. They're bigger. You don't notice it at first, but you know, and it's got the showers, like rounded shower, and it's got a tub. It's a bigger shower in the split bath.
So Mallory didn't sleep in the Murphy bed, so no one slept in that at all.
No. So what we did, he pulled it out the first night, and like we didn't need it, right? Because Zoe slept on the top bunk, Mallory slept below her on the couch, pulled out, and then we slept on obviously the queen. And so we just told him, like, just don't pull the Murphy out. Like, we don't need it because what it did, it kind of cut off the veranda when it was out because it kind
Yeah.
of goes across there. We're like, yeah, just leave that up. You know, you don't need to mess with that each night. So then we just slept on that, and it was great. The stateroom was a little bit larger. It was so much so that we booked the same kind for the podcast cruise on the Magic next year. So even with 4 of us, she might bring a friend, but the 4 of us, that'll be a great option. So that was a great stateroom, deck 7 midship. Now I think I talked about this on I think I was mentioned this on the call-in show. Our location was very midship. Now people always want that midship stateroom. We were right though in the middle because again, remember the Fantasy has 3 banks of elevators. It's got midship elevators, forward and aft. The Wish is weird. And so will the Treasure. It only has 2 sets, like kind of halfway mid to aft and halfway forward to mid. So we were like right in the middle. And the thing was, some people are like, oh, don't put me by the elevators. It's tricky when you look at the deck plans. You're never even by the elevators. Even if you book a stateroom that looks on the deck plans like you're by the elevators, those are great staterooms by the elevators because you're like the elevators are separated in like a vestibule.
Right.
You can save all kinds of steps. We were way a lot of steps from either set of elevators. We went aft or mid. We still had a ton of steps to get to either set of elevators. So we had a great location, real quiet. But I mean, we had to walk a long way to get to either. We went after mid. We had a long way to go, which was fine. I mean, but we just walked a lot every time we went anywhere. So
I feel like no matter where I am on the ship, where my stateroom is, I feel like I'm always walking a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad, right? I mean, it's just a few extra steps, right?
Yeah,
So.
it wasn't bad. The stateroom was great. We love the stateroom. I will say characters, like we've said this many times, characters everywhere. Selfies with Goofy, Pluto, Minnie, you know. If you like characters, man, a Disney cruise is where to go. I mean, they're and rare characters. Every
And I'm sorry, I didn't. Were you on starboard side, right? Or
we were starboard. Yep. So we overlooked Castaway Key.
that's the best when you have a Castaway cruise. That's the best way to be.
Yep. You want to be starboard if you're going to Castaway Key, if you can help it. All right. Let's see. So what else? I want to talk about the shows real quick because we don't talk about shows a lot. We went to 3 times out of the 7 nights we went to the Walt Disney Theater. There was not a show the first night, too. I don't know if this is normal, but they did not have anything in the Walt Disney Theater on embarkation night, which I thought was great because a lot of times they will have a show that first night, but like everybody's so rushed, right? You're trying to get to dinner. You're trying to get your stateroom set up. You're trying to get your luggage. The embarkation day is hectic.
There's pressure there.
Yeah, and if you try to go to the show, it's even crazier. They didn't even have a show the first night, which I was like, oh, that's great. It just took the pressure off. We went to dinner, and then the rest of the night, we just kind of just wandered around the ship until we went to the tube at 10 o'clock. But we did see Aladdin, we saw Frozen, and we saw Believe. And I'd never seen Frozen or Aladdin, and those shows were awesome. I mean, I'm not a show guy. Mallory really wanted to see these shows. They were, and I'm not a show dude, but I love these shows. They were so well done, just about an hour each. You know, they're not super long, so they don't, drag on. They were so good. And I love Believe. That's only on Disney Cruise Line. It's about a dad and a daughter. And I cried. I'll tell you the best.
I've seen that one many times.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the last night of the cruise. And I'll tell you the best part of the cruise, I'll just get to the punch right here. After we walked out of that out of last night of the cruise, we walk out of Disney's Believe because Mallory the whole time's like, I love that. The whole week leading up, she's like, I can't wait to see Believe. I can't wait to see Believe. I remember seeing that on previous cruises. I love that show. So we finally got to see it the last night. We're walking out. We're walking past the shops, right? Like as you go out of the theater, you walk past the stores on deck 4. She comes up to me and just gives me a hug and says, this has been a great cruise, Dad. And I'm like, oh my God, the cruise was worth it. I got a hug from my 16-year-old daughter. I was like, oh, yes. So that was worth it. So those 3 shows were awesome. We saw a group called Junk. Like they play like percussion instruments, like tubes and stuff. They were wild. We only saw the adult show down in the tube. They were crazy. I showed you the video, Scott. While they were
was that? I was wondering if that was Junk.
Dude,
yeah.
People were almost naked in that show because they were doing a contest. We'll talk about the tube in a second. It was crazy, but we saw them, but not in the theater. So we did that. So the theater performers were great.
Was there like a comedian or anything, or like a magician or anything like that?
There was like a variety guy. Like he juggled like knives while he was balancing on like a.
Okay, so we had a guy like that too. I never laughed so hard in my life. Like I don't know what it
Yeah,
was. Like
he was telling
like,
jokes like in
they're like
makeup,
comedian slash entertainer,
Yeah,
juggling guys. Like I
yeah.
love them.
Yeah, he was like blowing a balloon and juggling like knives while the ship was moving and like on a board that was like on a coffee can or something. I mean, it was crazy. Like, hey, and like he kept doing different things, card tricks. It was wild.
Love it.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I think of Simon now when I think of that because he's an entertainer on a cruise ship. Okay, so that was fun. Let's see. So let's talk dining. Rotational dining, of course, Disney Cruise Line. You have 3 major dining rooms. On the Fantasy, it's Animator's Palette. You have Enchanted Garden, and you have Royal Palace Court. I can't remember. Court, I think it is.
Royal Palace.
Is it Court?
Right.
Palace. I don't know. Whatever it was. It's the Royal room. So I will say we all agreed, Pam and I and Mallory, who've been on before, the food on this cruise was better than it's ever been with Disney Cruise Line. I mean, it was good. It was good. We had great meals. We did have a favorite dessert, which I talked about on Sunday night, which I said I'd say on this show. So, of course, Pam and I, our top favorite dessert for the whole cruise was the chocolate souffle at Apollo dinner. I mean, that always wins, right? I mean, dude, it takes a half hour to make. It comes out hot. Our waiter, Alex, which we had for brunch, and then you obviously have the same waiter if you come back a second time. He had us for dinner. He's like, the chef made this. Blah, blah, blah. He's so cool. He's like, first thing he tells me, he's like, don't touch the pipkin or whatever the thing's made in, the little ceramic thing. He's like, it's great. It's beautiful. He's from Italy. He's with the accent. First thing I did was grab the pipkin. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, because he pokes the hole in the thing, right? And then he gets the little chocolate and the little vanilla. Yeah. He's going to pour it in. I grabbed the thing to move it closer to me. I don't know why I didn't grab the plate. I grabbed the little pipkin thing. In Palo. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like, because I wanted to eat it so badly. I'm like, oh, dude, this is why I booked this cruise, was for this dessert right here. Dude, he's just looking at me like, you dumb American. Like, you are an idiot American. And I'm here serving you. Because he's like, I mean, clear as day. This is going to be so good. I'm going to poke the hole. I'm going to jump in the chocolate sauce and the vanilla sauce. Don't touch, whatever you do, don't touch a pipkin. I mean, 3 seconds later, I grabbed the thing. I'm an idiot. He still let me eat the dessert. I mean, God bless him. Anyway, it was beautiful. It was awesome. So, but the top dessert we had was, and you will not believe this, you or Scott or Ricky, you will not believe it was at Pirate Night. And I know you guys don't like the Pirate Night menu.
No, I hate Pirate Night menu.
There was a tart. Okay, so I've learned that I'm a fan of tarts. I've never had a tart in my life, but a tart is just like a little pie. A tart is basically just like a little pie. I didn't know what that meant, but I learned that. And it was like a caramel cheesecake, like a little dense little tart. We all 4 destroyed this thing. It was so good. So if you go to Pirate Night, it's the signature dessert. Get that thing. It was as good as
you try to order it another night. They probably only have it on Pirate Night though, don't they?
I didn't think because I ordered 2 desserts every night. Usually I'd order the sundae, so I got the ice cream sundae because there's usually an ice cream sundae, and then I would get like the cheesecake or the lava cake or some kind of a cake. But it was so good. So on the Pirate Night, make sure you get the bar at all. I did not have a Mickey bar the whole cruise. Now you say that. I've grown up. I've gotten older. I did not have a Mickey bar. Okay, so that was dining. Loved it. So we did. Oh, I got to talk about Palo Brunch. So good. I mean, you got to do. I'm just telling you. I mean, we've all talked about this ad nauseum. You got to do Palo Brunch if you sell at Disney Cruise Line. It's gonna be the best meal, probably. It's my best meal that I have all year. I'll be honest. Alex brought us all 7 desserts on the menu.
That photo you shared.
Oh my God.
All 7 desserts. 7. Okay, and I think I talked about this with Scott before we started recording on Sunday, that here's something that I'm getting out of my comfort zone now, and I'm liking this, because normally I would have only enjoyed like
wait, hang on, I want to go back here. You're getting out of your comfort zone and you're enjoying it?
Well, here's the thing. I like chocolate desserts. I like ice cream. You guys know that. We go to Dairy Queen every Friday and Saturday night. If you follow me on Instagram, I usually get a peanut butter parfait, but I've switched now over to the Oreo Cupfection, the Oreo brownie Cupfection, which is next to it on the menu. It's kind of like a peanut butter parfait, but it's got a brownie in it. And it doesn't melt as fast in the summer, which is important when you drive a Jeep and you're trying to get it home before it melts.
Oh, yeah.
That's just practical advice. Anyway, so he brings out all 7 desserts. There's a picture on my Instagram, so check it out. Be Our Guest Mike. Brings them all out. And he says, this is the one you're going to like the best. And he points at this thing called the limoncello, it's called.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like a
guess we-
piece of cheesecake, but it's like lemon flavored. It's kind of like alternating like lemon and like vanilla, lemon, vanilla. And I'm like, there's chocolate here. There's like a creme brulee. There's like chocolate. Ricky, I bite into this limoncello thing, and
See, that would not be for me.
Dude, the
I do
heavens
not
opened
like
up.
lemon flavored anything.
Dude.
So that would not be hallelujah for me. That would be like,
oh, you say that. That's how I thought because
No,
I'm not
I
into
would-
lemon desserts.
No, I hate lemon flavored things.
I don't
so
hate
I
'em.
would not enjoy that.
Oh, Alex gives you this, dude. I am not into lemon desserts. I'm telling you, I took one bite. I'm not kidding. That's what happened. And then Pam and I were sparring for this piece, and we had 7 desserts on the table. And it was that, and there was another dessert that I would have never ordered either, and it was the second favorite. It was his Italian. It was like an Italian kind of dessert that he says like they have back in Italy where he's from. He's like, you'll love this one too. I would have never ordered this thing. We're like sparring for this thing. That was number 2. And then like the other ones were all awesome as well. But that was the thing. Like he brought him out and he, of course they explain everything, what everything is. And he's like, I'm telling you, you'll like this. Try it. And I did. And like in the past, I wouldn't have taken that chance, but I did. And I think it's the beauty of a cruise, right? You're not paying extra to take a chance to try something you may or may not like. It's all there. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get back on my next cruise to try this limoncello thing. It's going to be the bomb. I mean, I want the heavens to open up and and I want to have tarts. I never had a tart before. And I had a tart like every time there was a tart on the menu at the regular restaurants. I got it and I loved it. I hear they have tarts at Walmart of like $2. Like, I mean, they're not the same probably, but they're tarts. So I'm going to be going to my Walmart. I'm excited because it opened up kind of new experiences in dining for me. Scott, I know you're way more adventurous and like you go to fancier restaurants and stuff, but I was excited.
I love
I tried
hearing
new
you
things.
experimenting, like Ricky said, and you're liking it too. I love it. I know you still wore the weird hollow shirt to the brunch, but I saw you wore something different for dinner, so that was good.
I did. We dressed up because we were celebrating our anniversary. I mean, like a few weeks late, but yeah, we kind of dressed. She got
It was great.
So brand new pants.
You said something that really hit with me though, and Jared, our friend Jared, said it on a different podcast recently too. You said that Palo brunch specifically is like the meal that you look forward to the most every year, like the best meal of the year. And Jared said something similar recently too to me. He said that is like the best value you can find on Disney Cruise Line, because if you're like on land somewhere, that's like a $400 to $500 meal, maybe, like with all the food and the quality that you get and all that. So I think it really is. Like, I just wanted to hit that home. Like, not that I want everyone listening here to like book up Palo and then we won't be able to get it anymore. But
exactly.
And trust me, it's already hard enough to get
Yeah,
Palo.
it is.
but we're for the people here, right? We're for our listeners. So don't tell anyone else. But like, that really is one of the best experiences on Disney Cruise Line. I'm craving, and I'm ready to book a cruise just so I can go to Palo. Like, I just love it that much. And you're selling it even more today, Mike.
Well, here's the bonus too. When you get to the platinum level with Disney Cruise Line, your first Palo meal of the cruise is free. So
Amazing.
we used, he decided which one was more expensive. I don't know if it was the dinner or the brunch, but he's like, we're using that one for your free one. Because he was smart. Like, and
Smart
so we
man,
only-
that
yeah,
Alex
so we
guy.
got one of the meals for, as part of our perk. So I was like, yes, that's why we ate there twice. But yeah, I mean, it was in the experience, like we just don't go to fancy places. My wife and I are Texas Roadhouse. Like you see Reed, LS Teca, like that. I mean, we're comfortable there. I mean, this first place we got back, we went to LS Teca. That's our jam. But the cool thing about Palo is they take people like us, like Scott, you and Elizabeth are like super comfortable in fancy restaurants. Like Pam and I really aren't, like, cause we don't go to those places a lot, but they don't make you feel uncomfortable there. Like, honestly, I mean, I really am not a fancy food person, but Alex, even with his accent and being from Italy, and he knows everything about everything when it comes to fancy foods, he brought it down to our level and made us comfortable. And the 3 hour, 2.5 hours that we were there for dinner was so enjoyable. And he was always taking care of us, but in a comfortable, it was almost like a fancy, like Olivia's experience. Like they took care of us in a comfortable way in a super fancy restaurant. Even like, the head of the restaurant came by like twice and asked how we're doing. Is there anything we can do for you? I mean, we felt like
you're like,
Daddy
what more can you do
Warbucks.
for me? 7 desserts
Right.
and
It
best
was
service
perfect.
ever. Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, because, you feel real fancy for one night. And I think that's what a cruise is about. So definitely go to, and Remy's, I'm sure, is like on another level too. We just didn't go there. Let's see. So let's talk about night entertainment. Morgan was our adult activities director, and she was awesome. She's from London. She always called me out every time I came into the tube. She's like, Mike, from the first night, because I got up on stage and played a game with her.
As you should.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. And I mean, that's kind of how it is. So I have a question for you guys too. Isn't it kind of funny? Like, you got to get involved with your crews early. I think, like, go to the adult area the first night, get involved in the game shows or the activities. And then what tends to happen, like the trivias and stuff like that, I think that a lot of the same people go to those kind of things. And like, so there was a guy named Nick, like him and his family, he had like his parents there, his sisters and stuff. And they had a group of like 10. Like, we saw them at a lot of the same things, and Nick was kind of like my pseudo Scott for the cruise. Like, he was a lot of the activities, and like we'd high five and stuff, and we had a good time. But it was fun because like the adult activities director, I think they like to kind of see like the people that are cool with getting up on stage and playing their games, and they call you out, and it made the cruise fun for me because I got to get involved. But I think it makes it easier on them to have people that are willing to kind of be active in their activities too. Did you see that on your cruises?
Oh yeah, I see that on every cruise, and I highly recommend that. I mean, some people might not necessarily want to be cruise famous, but I'm all for being cruise famous.
So you're never going to see those people again. Who cares? That's what I say.
I want to be seen on that first night, and like everyone pointing at me the rest of the cruise, like, oh, that's that guy.
Yeah,
like, which I feel like you were. You and I always do that when we're on a ship. But yeah, it just brings this cool like atmosphere, right? Like, you get to know people. That's one of my favorite things about cruising in general is like you're just sitting in a lounge, and then most people are like not afraid to talk to people, so you just learn their story. I say that all the time on the podcast. One of my favorite thing about this podcast is learning the listener's story, where they're from, who they are, and things like that. And like on a cruise, you got all this time, and that's what you do. And like then you start seeing them in night 2, night 3, night 4, and they become like a mini family for you. And I'm glad that you were doing that, and like I'm glad you called that out because that is one of my favorite things of cruising.
Yeah, it's funny because you see, like I saw Nick on both islands. Like, I'm like, dude, it's so crazy. Like, Nick. I mean, one time he was kind of tore up in Tortola, but hey, what's up? I mean,
sounds like Nick might have been torn up a lot, maybe. But
Nick was having fun, dude. Nick was partying. I mean, he was having a good time. That's what cruising is about, though. Like, he's with his family, having a good time. Man, that's exactly what it was all about. I loved it. Like, he was having a good time. I mean, that's what cruising's about. He's with his family. But yeah, Morgan just did a great job with, like, of course, you got Match Your Mate, you got Quest, you got, I don't know, like where you had to like match what the audience was going to say, and you had a whiteboard, you know, all that.
Like
the cruises all do the
same
thing. Or... Yeah, it's like, I forget. Yeah. I mean, all the cruises kind of do the same kind of game show activities, but they're fun. Like, you just don't get to do that stuff in the real world, play these game shows. We love that every night. That was a good time. Let's see. So real quick, the islands, again, Tortola and St. Thomas down in the Eastern Caribbean, beautiful. The water's so blue and the islands are so green. It's way different than the Western. They just kind of, there's just all these islands. As you're coming in, there's all these little small islands that just pop up out of the water. It looks like Moana or something. You know, like what Valerie kept saying. It's so beautiful. It looks like Moana. These little islands are scattered here and there and everywhere as you're kind of sneaking into the port, and then you dock. And we did zip lining in Tortola. Pam and I had done that 18 years ago on our honeymoon. We still got it. We've decided we could still do it. Not as quickly as we did back in 2006, but we did it. The last one, dude, we climbed up a huge tower. We're like, what? You want us up there? But we did. We made it because of peer pressure. But it was fun. It was beautiful, beautiful view of the ship as you're zipping down that last line. You're like, what? But we did. And we had a good time there. In St. Thomas, we just did a beach day to a place called Emerald Beach. Crazy in St. Thomas, though. The airport, there's an airport, I mean, dude, right on the other side of the beach. And I mean, 737's landing right there. It was crazy. Wow. Like,
that's a famous like airport.
Yeah,
like, people know about that airport.
It was awesome. Like, I love airplanes. So I'm like, dude, I'm floating out there in the beach. Like, and I was watching 737s coming in. I mean, they're not coming in a lot. They're coming in like maybe once every half hour. It's not like a busy airport because it means an island. But I was like, holy cow, like I love watching airplanes. I'm like, I'm in heaven, dude. I'm in a Caribbean island, like in a warm water. It was like a Wednesday morning and like watching airplanes coming in and taking off. I'm like, oh my, and it's the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Wonder of the Seas was coming in behind me, like right behind me. Here comes Wonder of the Seas. And I'm like, oh my God, I get to see a gigantic cruise ship coming. I was like, I'm in like planes, trains, and automobiles. I'm like I could not be in a more heavenly place. I love cruise ships. I love airplanes. I'm in the ocean. Like, you know, Zoe and Mallory had rented a kayak, and they got way out there too. And Pam was freaking out. And I'm like, Pam, what are you going to do? They don't have their cell phones with them. I mean, like, did you even ask them if they know how to steer a kayak? I mean, they're from Missouri. I'm like, and I mean, they were way out there. Like, and they were about to go around the corner of these rocks. I'm like, dude, they might end up in Puerto Rico. I'm like, we can't even yell to them. I mean, I can't catch up to them at this point. They're probably a quarter mile out there. But I mean, finally, and I was like, dude, I told Pam, I was like, there's a bar right there. I'm going to get you a margarita. So I got her a strawberry frozen margarita. We had margaritas till they came back in so she could chill. Because we were freaking out. I was freaking out too, but I couldn't freak out either because she was freaking out. I was like, dude, they are so far out. They're like, it was like that Moana thing, like what the water was calling to them because the horizon was calling. They were closer to the horizon than us, man. They were like, dude, they're ready to visit Yada.
Sounds like they had a nice excursion.
They did, dude. I mean, I was like, dude, their arms are going to be falling off if they ever come home. But they did. They came home. But yeah, so they had fun in St. Thomas. Oh, by the way, in St. Thomas, before we went back to, they have great shopping areas in both, like touristy little shopping areas. We went to a restaurant, Mexican restaurant in St. Thomas by the port called Agave Tequila Bar and Mexican restaurant. Go there. It is. We had a waitress named Paris. She's a model and an actress. She was awesome. And oh my God, the chips, the guac, the salsa. We had tacos. We had, I had empanadas. They're so good there. It's right there by the shopping area. Go to Agave. It rocks. It was expensive though. It shocked me.
That's awesome.
It was fancy though. So that we did that. Let's see what else. We watched Diaper Dash. That was a hoot. I love doing that. Jack Jack's that. Oh, and the tasting.
Yeah, was there something new that you did on the ship at all, or like something that you don't do very often? But since Zoe and Mallory going to the clubs, like, did you and Pam do something that you don't normally get to do?
Not really. I mean, we just we did a lot of we did our tastings. I did tequila tasting twice. I did it once with Pam. The second time I knew she wouldn't want to do it. She doesn't like tequila, but she did it once with me.
But less guilt doing that because then you knew the kids were like off.
Yeah, totally. They were off doing their thing, right? So I didn't care. We had a great person that did both tequilas, and he also did the martini. Dwayne from Jamaica was awesome. We did those in Skyline. We did mixology. Mixology was up in Meridian, which is the bar between Remy and Palo. But I was disappointed in mixology because we had a sommelier who did that one, and he didn't let us mix. We didn't get to be hands-on. And he was like, this one's going to be more about smelling the drinks and about the aromas and all this. And, we got to drink them, but I want to be Tom Cruise.
You're like, I just want to be behind the bar.
I know. I want to be like Cocktail. Like I want to be, and all that. I want to be hands-on. So, I mean, it was fun. It was nice. Meridian's great and everything. I learned a lot, got to taste some nice drinks, but I will say again, this is 2 cruises in a row, the podcast cruise last summer and this cruise. Martini tasting was our favorite tasting. And I mean, even more than tequila. I like tequila. Don't get me wrong. It was great, but martini tasting, awesome. We did 5 martinis and we got to mix them though. Dwayne let us get up there. Everybody took a turn, like 3 people at a time. We shook them. We did the pours, like where you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, poured the stuff. Yeah. And he even gave us the proportions to take home so we could make these at home. Key lime martini, rocking. Oh my God. We had one that night at the bar at the Tube, our last night. It was so good. And a Black Forest martini was so good. But yeah, so if you ever get a chance to do the
lemon
martini,
and lime, your new favorite flavors, right?
Oh
Apparently.
my gosh, so good. But I thought martinis were super fancy. They're not. It's just that they're served in a martini glass. So I'm a martini guy now. Who knew?
They're good. You have like sold me on this because you talked about this last year too when you did it on the Wish. I've never done a martini tasting on a Disney Cruise Line, and now like that's going to be the thing I'm looking for most now. That's going to be like my top priority when it comes to the tastings. Yeah,
and so. That was great. Castaway Cay was awesome. Now, here's the great thing about Castaway Cay. It was not sunny, and I loved that because I'm a person who just hates when it's super sunny and you just get burned to death, and it's just like the sun beats down on you. The high, the day we were on Castaway Cay, it was cloudy and 84. Again? Ooh. Yes. I know people want those perfect pictures, that it's sunny and beautiful. No, I did not want that. 84 and cloudy was perfect for Castaway Cay because it's like 150 degrees here in St. Louis right now and sunny, and it's just brutal. It was great. We had a great day. We didn't get into Castaway Cay till 10:30, which is weird for us because I'm used to being off the ship at like 8:30. So listen to this. I did not do the Castaway Cay 5K because we had to be back on the ship at 4 o'clock for our tasting. Didn't get off the ship till 10:45. Didn't want to waste an hour running the 5K because I'm slow now. because I can't run hardly because of my hamstring. So I ran on the treadmill early that morning and just called it a day. I'm like, and I didn't get a medal or anything. I've got the medal before. It's fine. So I just did my run in the morning in senses, called it a day, and just went straight to the beach.
I like it.
Spent a little time on the beach and then went straight to cookies too, because that's
I
really
think that's the way to do it.
Cookies too is why you're there, right? Cookies.
Still no chicken sandwiches there, right? Like,
but they served it on the ship. So it was all good. They served it back at Flo's, dude, and it was spicy and it burned me, dude. It was hot. My nose, they had so much spice on it. My nose was running. Yeah.
Paolo,
yes.
Amazing brunch, and you have the spicy chicken sandwich on the ship. Like, I need to book this now, Mike.
I'm telling you. And so here's another tip. Flo's will have a special every day back in the window, that kind of that Fillmore's window, I think it is.
Yep.
It's past the pizza one. So every day they would have like a special. So they have like a cheesesteak one day. They had the spicy chicken sandwich the one day. They had like a pita or something, but it was like all cooked. So you check out the specials back there because they were smoking good every day. So lunchtime, go back there and check out what the daily special is, because it was the spicy chicken sandwich.
I love it.
Oh, so good. We didn't get to go to, we never got the hard ice cream. That was one thing we didn't do. I was disappointed. But I mean, dude, I counted that
After
one.
all of that, didn't Pam say that's the one thing she was looking forward to?
Yes, but that one day we did the brunch, I had 13 desserts. That one day,
yeah, 13 desserts is a lot of desserts.
I had 13 desserts in that one day because I had 7 for brunch. I had 2 at dinner that night, plus I had ice cream cones throughout the day. 13 in one day. I know, ridiculous.
Dude,
There's
never
an
a picture of
opportunity.
you somewhere on the fantasy. That's like you talk about me with Crystal Palace. Like I'm like a world record holder. You're a world record holder on the fantasy. 13
True
desserts.
story.
I didn't mean to. I didn't realize it until I went to bed that night. And then I was like, dude, I might not wake up in the morning. It was sad. So we did that. I'm trying to think. I mean, the thing was, here's the one thing though. I mean, I did get up and run every morning. And Pam and I have been making it a point this summer. Every morning we walk 2 miles in our neighborhood, and every night we walk 2 miles in our neighborhood. So we've been doing that. We did that on the cruise. So we went down to deck 4, and every morning-ish, we'd walk 2 miles around deck 4. And then in the evening, we'd go for a 2-mile stroll after dinner around deck 4. And what we noticed was a lot of people were doing the same. And so I liked it because I didn't get to run on deck 4 because I ran on the treadmills. It was a little bit easier on my hamstring to run on the treadmills have a little bit more give than the ground. So I did that, and I was doing intervals a little bit too, which helps a little bit easier with the treadmill. I could track things a little bit better. But just walking on deck 4 with my wife and seeing the sunset and just, it was great. Like I enjoyed walking deck 4 with my wife. So we did that, got a little activity in. Also, I averaged 38 flights of steps a day on the cruise because we only took the steps.
Oh my gosh.
Except like after a tasting here and there.
Yeah, then you definitely don't want to take flights of stairs.
But I because that health app tells you, because I have an Apple Watch, it tells you how many flights. I average 38 flights of stairs a day for 7 days. It says your health trends have changed. And I looked, 38 flights of steps. So that right there, I mean, that should get you a dessert or 2, right? Maybe. Because we were on deck 7.
Or 13, I'm saying.
Maybe that's why my hamstring still hurts so bad. But we did the stairs a lot. And so we did that. Plus, they're faster, I think, than the elevators a lot. Well, I mean, it depends what time of day.
I absolutely agree with
Sometimes.
you. I think they're way faster.
Like after show, they are. I mean, there's a lot of times there's nobody at the elevators. I mean,
no, I still usually take the stairs too. I think it's much faster.
Mentally, I felt better doing the stairs. I'm like, okay, ice cream.
I'm team elevator. I'm on vacation.
Unless I'm like, I mean, by the 4th flight of stairs, if I'm like going really high up, I'm like, oh, this was a mistake.
Well, I said it was a mistake every time, but then I'm like, I get an ice cream cone out of this.
Yeah, so I still take the stairs anyway. So
that's what I did.
Puff my way up.
I know it's probably stupid, but that's what I did. I mean, I do dumb stuff all the time like this, but yeah, I mean, it was just a great cruise. So the Eastern Caribbean, we're going to do this again in 26. We've already decided. But here's the thing. We love the fantasy. We love the layout of this ship. We love the dream and the fantasy class. We love how this ship is laid out. Now, the fantasy's going over to England. So in 26, it'll probably be the treasure. I mean, we'll do that, I guess, but we're not a bit, like my favorite class of ships, the dream and the fantasy class. I wish that ship was still going to be down there for the Eastern again.
It definitely looks like they're all in on that Wish, class right now. Cause they just announced another new ship, out of Japan. And it's going to be the Wish, style ship as well. So that's 4 ships. Well, 3, and then whatever they do with the Adventure. That's
Well,
what? Oh wait, no, that would be 4. Yeah, that's still 4, right? Yeah.
what's funny
That's 4
though is,
ships.
so during our, again, you loosen up and talk to people during your tastings, right? And we'll cut this. We're getting a little bit long, but after our tasting, we're hanging out with some of the people that did the tasting in the mixology right up in Meridian. And I'm talking with these ladies from California that were sitting at our table with us. We're talking about cruising and stuff, and they'd sailed a bunch of times. And we're talking about cruises we've been on. And I'm saying how much I love the fantasy and the dream, right? I love Meridian. And they're asking, have you sailed other ships? Or like the Wish. So we're talking about how we like the fantasy so much, like us too. And they're like, we like the Wish too, but it just feels kind of disjointed in places. And we prefer the fantasy just because the layout, the adult area is a little bit better. We think on the fantasy stuff like it. We're like, and then the people started perking up around the whole Meridian. But what it was, and I've come to this conclusion, people that have sailed the dream and the fantasy first love the dream and the fantasy.
I could see that.
But people that have sailed the Wish first, they don't mind it as much. Like if the Wish is your first ship, that's your jam, because I think you're cool with that layout. I think it's hard to go from the fantasy and the dream to the Wish because maybe you're comfortable with how that layout is. But I think people that sail the Wish for their first cruise are totally cool with it because you don't have that like prior knowledge of where things are.
I could see that.
That's what kind of we came up with after drinking in mixology.
That's the way to do it.
Maybe.
You know what
all
you
the ships
gotta do,
have
though, too,
pluses and
Mike?
minuses. I don't know. What do you think?
Because you love the fantasy so much, and you're bummed that's going to be in Southampton in 26. I say you just fly to Southampton.
I could.
and sail
We're
out
working
there.
on the passports. Well, yeah, here's the other thing too. The Wish has always been a shorter cruise, and so the only time I've been on the fantasy, both times 7 nights. So that is probably also a huge factor. Because 2 longest cruises I've been on, fantasy, Disney cruises, fantasy. So that has a huge impact too. I love that. It just feels like home, like the Dream does too. Because I've sailed those ships the most, and I love them. So anyway, our wait staff was amazing. They took care of us in the rotational dining. I love the pirate night. I dressed up. I have fun. I like it. It's, again,
You do like it.
What else do you
Fun.
think?
I'm glad you have a fun time with it, man.
I
You
do.
really do.
I mean, it's dumb, but I have fun with it. And then we did the drawing and animators palettes. We did that. That was cool. Zoe enjoyed that. Just good time had by all. So Eastern Caribbean 7-night itinerary, cannot recommend it enough. We're going to do it again in 26. So great. 3 sea days. Chef's kiss. Love it. I mean, just to be able to relax. And we got on the ship on a Saturday. We didn't get to our first port till Tuesday. Like having 2 sea days right off the bat, just so no pressure. Like you just get on the ship and you don't have anything to do till Tuesday, but enjoy the ship. Oh, it's great. So I'll call it there, but we'll have a call-in show Sunday night. So if you have any questions, want to talk about it, give us a call and we'll talk there. So
Please do. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's still more you didn't share, but I know for time constraints,
Absolutely.
But I can't wait to hear more. I'm sure you're going to splash some more updates as we continue to record more episodes here soon.
we shall. And there's lots of pictures on my Instagram, lots of videos there as well, lots of reels. So go to Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and check out all the photos there. All right.
I want to see all 13 desserts. I'm going to look for them.
There's a picture. I mean, well, the 7 are on the table right there in that one shot. And then, I had look at my dinner that night. There's 2 more for dinner.
Ice
Yeah.
cream cones.
And then
Love
cones. And yeah, it was bad.
Record-breaking day.
It was not good. But again, that's all I heard that day was the Hallelujah chorus. All right. And I loaded that just for the show. All right. So we're going to jump out of here. Don't forget, today's podcast brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you get sailing with Disney Cruise Line. Best part, we'll get you an onboard credit, which you can use for that Palo brunch, Palo dinner. You can use it. Oh, one thing I want to mention. I forgot. Merchandise on the Disney Fantasy. Terrible. The merch on board the ship was not good. It was not good. It was ugly. It was just, I couldn't find a thing to buy.
Was it just plain Disney Cruise Line merch, or was it
everything
Disney
was
Fantasy?
okay? It's like World. Everything is gaudy. Everything has to have like some weird looking patch or something weird on the back. Like they can't have anything. They don't have like just a Sailor Mickey shirt anymore. They can't just have just simple stuff. Everything's got to have like one extra weird thing on it, like a weird collar or like some weird. I had gift cards ready to go. Like I wanted to spend money. I've been saving my money for this cruise, like gift cards from the in-laws. I bought a hat. I got my hat. in a different color. And I did get a
I thought
shirt.
you had a different, like, you got like a white hat this trip, right?
I got a black. They had a black one. I got a black one, and I got this shirt, which if you're watching, it's a blue Disney. This is the most
I like
plain.
that shirt.
Yeah, this is the most plain T-shirt they had. I did get this one. If you're watching the video, but they just didn't have like any of like Nike, just like plain Disney Cruise Line logo, pullovers, nothing like that. It was all weird stuff. Like, I mean,
Losing money. I mean, it's easy.
100% they were losing money. I went down to the store like 10 times, hoping they restocked. So that's my only.
They're not
disappointment.
going to get you to buy art with that money. No, you want the souvenirs.
I wanted just, I just want like a plain Mickey like sailor shirt, like just classic.
I love that shirt.
They didn't have
I know the one you're talking
yeah,
about. Yeah,
totally didn't have. Anyway, sorry to leave you on that, but Disney Cruise Line, just go back to classic Disney stuff, and we'll be there to spend our money. Anyway, so magicforless.com. We'll book your cruise for you. We'll get you an onboard credit. You can spend it. Maybe you'll like it. You can get tumblers and stuff and all that good stuff. There's stuff to buy. Also, use our Amazon affiliate link if you can, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. If you do, just $5 a month, you get our bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over again, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. And a huge thank you to our supporters on Patreon. Give Scott a follow on the social media at @EpScott. Give Ricky a follow at Ricky Nibs. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. And of course, we need to see you over in the clubhouse. The conversation goes 24/7. We have a great time there each and every day. Join us today, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. All right, we'll see you Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central for the live call-in show. Give us a holler. Let's talk Disney. But until then, for Scott and Ricky, I'm Mike saying stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.